All right, all right. Welcome, Eris and Abriana. I am so excited to chat with the two of you today. We are going to be discussing some mother daughter dynamics. We're going to be talking legacy building. We're going to be talking generational wealth. I think that it is, first of all, super important that we discuss these topics. But more importantly, I love that I have the both of you here, two separate generations, to really discuss them from different points of view. So we are going to dive right on in. And Eris, the first question is for you. I would love to know what the biggest fork in the road has been thus far in your life.
The biggest fork in the road. Now, when we say fork in the road, what are we talking about
Like
exactly? I want to
a
make
moment where you've had like a come to Jesus moment where you've had to make a decision. You're either going to go left or you're going to go right.
mm.
And the implications of each of those decisions. What has been the biggest one in your life thus far?
Okay, so honestly, her right here, you know, I was very young. I was in college. Probably shouldn't be telling this story with her present, but so I was young. I was in college. I had big dreams, big visions in terms of what I thought my life was going to be. And I think trying to live up to the expectations and excitement, right, of family with me going off to school. And then my third year in becoming pregnant. And, in full transparency, there's a lot that goes through your mind at that moment. What do you do? What direction do you take? And I often say, when I think about who I was at that point in time and in the eras before finding out at 19, 20 years old that I was pregnant, was a very different eras than who I became. And so while I do not necessarily advocate for young ladies to become moms at a young age, I will say becoming her mother actually changed my life in a way that made me step up and become very responsible and very focused and driven in a way that I've never been before. And so I often tell this story. I don't even know if you remember this, Abriana, but one day we were at my mom's house and she was laying in bed. I don't know, it might have been like midday, late morning. I'm up, I'm going. And she's just laying around being leisurely. And I said something to her like, oh my God, you are so. And she said to me, what, 22? And when she said that to me, it made me like step back and pause because I have never been able to have this kind of lifestyle that she has, meaning not having the pressure or the burden. And I don't mean burden in a bad way, right? But the burden, the responsibility of caring for someone else. And so when I think about how she flows and how she makes decisions and how she lives, I relate, but I don't relate because at her age, I already had her, right? So I'm always thinking about what. So as I think about the biggest fork in the road in my life, it literally was, and I hate to say it, right? Do you go forward with this pregnancy? Do you not?
Right.
And I can't even imagine my life without my Abriana had I taken a different path. You know what I mean? So she's definitely been the biggest fork and focus and inspiration.
I love that. How does that
Me
make you
too.
feel, Abriana?
Every time she talks, I fall in love. I'm very I really admire her and really am grateful and thankful for all the stuff that she has put in place for me and really setting that example. But like she said, there are differences between us because at my age she did have me, and sometimes I think like, dang, like how was she able to do all of this? And it's like she said, that motivation and that drive can sometimes focus when you do become a mom.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Eris, what you said is very real though. Like it's a real life decision that a woman has to face at any point, right? Like when you are pregnant, whether you're 19, 20, you're 35, 40, whatever it is, it's a real decision. It's a fork in the road. It's you could either go down one path, right? or you can go down another. And what makes those decisions are, you know, our past history and our thought process and family influence and where we want to be in the future, and all of those things come into play. So really and truly, I believe there's no right or wrong answer. You do what you feel is best for you in that moment, right? And you have to live with the, I don't want to say consequences in a bad way, but the consequences of your decision, right? So
Right.
having this real conversation and saying quite honestly, do I go forth or do I not? Right? Adriana, at some point in your life, you will have that same thought. It will happen, right? And you're gonna be like, this is a moment of in time where this is a true fork in the road. So I
She
appreciate
can go and have that baby for me because I'm too old to have anymore. She just, like, if I have a kid, you gonna take care of it. I was like, no. I'm like, girl.
She will. She will.
Harrison, I'm gonna be on somebody's beach somewhere. I don't know about that.
With my grandbaby.
Yeah, with the baby. Yeah.
I love it. Well, Adriana, the next question is for you. I love that you said that when your mom speaks, you fall in love. So I'd love to know what has been the most important thing that your mother has taught you.
So many good things. I would say the most important thing my mother has taught me is the importance of being and taking accountability for my own actions and not allowing the actions of other people to really necessarily affect me in a negative way. And as I've grown older, I've been able to kind of do better at doing so. I'm a very sensitive person. So my mom's always been very strong in a good way, you know, and really, to me, you know, leading an example, stronger than me, I would say. So just helping me navigate through life in certain areas, but really just believing in myself and being okay with the unknown and having faith in what will come and just trying to push forward through any situations or anything that may come up.
Yeah, I love that.
So many things
That's
in
different.
summary.
Yeah. I can see how as a sensitive person, right, being able to have somebody be your backbone in these kind of unknown moments, right, can definitely be beneficial. And how to
Yes.
kind of stand, like, you know, it's kind of like the, what do you call it, baby deer, whatever they're called, right? And like having them kind of stand up on their own. They're a little shaky in the beginning, right? And teaching those moments of how to be strong and confident in who you are and what you
Yeah.
want. So that is absolutely fantastic. Eris, how do you feel about that?
I love that. And it's something you said in terms of like backbone, right? And that's been important to me. I'm trying so hard not to be all emotional on this right now.
Me too.
Please do.
Because we've never had this kind of conversation and exchange. But I'm reading this book right now called Attached. And Attached is about really your personality styles when it comes to relationships, and not just like romantic, but just how you relate to people. Are you secure? Are you avoidant? Or are you anxious? These are the three different types of attachment styles. And one of the styles of secure, they're saying that people who have had someone in their life who serves as that backbone, not even just early on, but all throughout. Like when you know that you have someone there, like you can show up in a way that's so different than other people. And when I took the test, of course, well, not of course, you know, I was avoidant. So there was the avoiders, there was the secure people, and they're anxious. And the avoidance are those folks who, you know, are constantly kind of keeping that distance. And so when I think about like a backbone and hearing that word, that is something that was so important to me with Abriana. Like I always want her to know, and I tell her, like, and I mess with her sometimes when somebody might not come through on something, like, who got you? Yo, mama, you know, like, but I always want her to know that you've got that backbone, because I feel like that gives you that extra security, that extra kind of confidence and comfort that you can go out and try things. And even if you're not successful, and that's what I always want her to know, it's like everything is not going to always go the way you want it to go. But it doesn't mean you don't try. And one of the things that a lot of Black children, children of color, or social economically disadvantaged don't have that their white counterparts or those who have a higher economic status have is a backbone and a network, right? They try, they fail, they mess up all the time. But because they have that, they're able to be resilient and buoyant and go back up, right? And they don't feel like, oh, I messed up, so I should just give up on life. For us, sometimes when we have those setbacks, it's like, I tried it. See, that's why I don't want to do it. So I love hearing her, kind of talk about me being able to help her with understanding, things aren't going to always go the way you want, and being accountable for her actions. Because I always want to be a backbone, but at some point, you also want to step back, right? As that mama deer, and see your kid kind of go out there and do their own thing. So, now I'm sitting here, I'm like, great, you just graduated college, you well grown. I'm excited to see what's going to happen in this kind of next phase and iteration of her journey. So yeah, Breezy's cool.
Mhm. So something came to mind as you were speaking, Eris, and you were saying that you tested and your personality type or relationship type is more avoidant. Where do you think that stems from as we're talking about generations, right? Because I can see how different parenting, and it happens in my own life with my own son. We're every generation is like, I'm not going to be like my mama, all right?
Right.
You're like, I'm going to be different, or there are certain aspects that you want to change in terms of parenting style when you have your own children. So I'm
Yeah.
curious to know, in your upbringing, right? Was there something that you think you can pinpoint that has made you more avoidant, right,
Hmm.
as opposed to what you've instilled in Abriana that's hopefully making her more of that confident
Hmm.
relationship type?
Yeah. I think, I had an interesting childhood. Interesting, not so interesting. Um, and I would say before I was like the age of 10, I experienced a lot of loss. Actually, like from 13 forward, I lost my father, I lost a grandfather, I lost my grandmother, I lost, it was like always somebody dying. And my parents divorced and my mom moved away. I was always kind of a weird kid. Like I was never really cool. So I was kind of like an outlier, but I was cool enough, so they didn't have me sitting in the corner by myself, but I was never really like the clique, right? And so I think when you go through a life where um, people aren't necessarily always embracing you or holding you up to a high standard or misinterpreting who you are, you start to kind of put up barriers, right? And then when you have people who you love and who you're close to leave abruptly, right? That can make you not want to get close and attached to people. And I'll be honest, I've never shared this, but even as I was a mom with B as a young girl, I was like, girl, I just loved you as a baby. I loved her. I still love her. I had fear of becoming too attached to my own child,
Oh, wow.
right? Seriously. So I think those kind of things played a role in it, in having people show up and then disappear, show up and disappear. You don't want to get too close because you want to prevent disappointment. Now, however, I'm at a point in my life, I took the test again and I'm secure. I also think it depends on who's in your life and like where you are at that stage in your life. Like different stages, different people bring out different things, and self-work gets you to a certain level. So, I have parents who love me. They had two very different parenting styles. And I think that also just goes back to the nature of how they were raised and their parents. My dad came from a nuclear family. His mom and dad were married, very traditional. My dad was a great father, probably not a great husband. He was very Renaissance and non-conforming, which is a lot of who I am. But then I have my mom, whose parents weren't married, and they had children with other spouses, and maybe there weren't always the best examples in the household. So my mom had to just be hard, and she had to just get it. And that's also in me. And so I think when you have that, all of that coupled together, that played an influence in me being the kind of person that I am.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Super powerful. Anything to add there, Adriana?
to the original question.
Yeah, so the original question or any comments on what your mom just shared about her upbringing?
Um, I do see those like different qualities in her, and I agree with what she said about like different parenting styles can then, form and affect the child, and that may be good or bad, or not necessarily good or bad, and they can just come together just to like form the child. I would agree with that.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
even with B, are we Abriana on here today? Or are we who are you today? But
It's okay. It's
so we
okay.
call her Breezy. So even with Breezy, right? Like as I think about her coming into her womanhood, and we talk a lot about this, I don't want like who her parents are and how we show up or don't show up to influence her in that kind of way, right? And so like the earlier you can be cognizant of things, the earlier that she can release, things that she may have experienced or gone through with me and or her father. I want her to be the most secure, confident. Like I don't want that to influence or shape. And so often I think we use those kind of things as excuses, where we don't have to let that define who we are. And so, you know, as I think, as I look at what the rankings are, I feel like I could kind of assess where B may fall in terms of her attachment style. And I think about, I go, yeah, well, I could see how she would fall there. It's
Right.
the
Yeah.
anxious.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
Mhm. Super interesting. I'm gonna have to get that book. It's really interesting.
good. It's real
All
good.
right. So for Eris, what's something about your heritage that you want future generations to know? You were talking about a little grandbaby on the beach with you, right? Something.
That made you
No, I'm laughing at something. Nothing. Sorry. Go ahead. What's your answer?
what would I want future generations to know? I would want future generations to know, and it's really what I want this existing generation to know, all of us. Like when we think about who we are as Black people, we are Black people in America. We are literally the descendants of the strongest of the strongest. Like, think about this, right? I went to Ghana and I got to go to the Gold Coast, which is where they would transport the slaves. I was in Accra and we drove out to the Gold Coast, which took about an hour and some change, maybe a little longer just to drive out there. And they said that the walk for those who were coming from like central Ghana to get to the Gold Coast was sometimes up to 3 months. So now you're walking 3 months, you're in these quarters waiting to be placed on a ship sometimes for up to 6 months while you wait for the ship to come. So now you're 9 months in, no food, no whatever. And then you're on this ship being transported from Africa over to the Americas for another 3, 6, 9 months, laid up in a boat with hundreds of people. You're not right. And we are the survivors of the people who survived that. So there is nothing about us that cannot conquer or overcome all of the stuff that we're going through right now. Like we're not the descendants of the weakest of the weak. We are the descendants of the strongest of the strong who are still here. So when I think about any future generation that comes, I want them to be understanding their greatness and the magnitude at which they are a descendant of. And no one wants to promote or remind or share that with us. I don't care if we're in the inner city here in Ward 7, where I live at east of the river, you are still the descendant of the strongest of the strong, hundreds of years, thousands of years later. And so as we go forward, we need to be building from that and not from like this place of depletion, which we're always having to talk about or promote with regards to Black people. And then the second thing is, we talk a lot about what other people have. If we want it, we got to do it. Like just start to create it, right? And so I talk a lot about how I've deferred things. Even Breezy, again, I tell her, I was like, some of my most prolific moments come from her. And she's like, you saved, you've helped everybody. Start to spend your little money, enjoy your life. And I'm like, oh, I'm hard, but because I wanted to make sure that what I knew I never had, she will have and her kids will have, right? And so that means for me that I had to be the one to sacrifice. Well, maybe I don't get that new Gucci bag. Maybe I don't get that Range Rover. But this bank account, this stock investment, this money market, this whole life insurance, these properties are here so that a leg up can be given to her and whomever comes after. Yeah, okay, right. But then some days I'm like, you know what, girl, go live your life. She can figure it out. But that's what we do. Like so many of us have come into that situation, and that's what we are. So, yeah, you gonna take care of me, B, or what?
I got you. I am.
Well, I mean, I think it's a situation of when you know better, you do better, right?
That's right.
And so for us, Eris, as mothers, because I've done the same thing, whole life insurance policy. My parents didn't have one for me, right? I can't tap into any money that's accumulated over the past
That's
40
right.
some odd years to
Yep.
put a down payment on a house, right? I opened up a trading stock options whatever account for Tristan, right? So it's like my parents didn't do that for me. Everything that I have right now, though they supported, right, that they were backbones,
That's
right?
right.
They supported. There was no financial leg up to start me off, and I think that we are this first generation, not that has wanted to, but has really had the ability and the means to do so for our next generation, right?
That's right.
And so we know better and we're doing better. But then it's this fine line that we have to walk of making sure that they have a leg up, but that they're able to stand on their own legs when they get it, right? And so it really is a balancing act. And as much as Brianna, I know your mother wants to see you succeed and start life off on a better footing than she was, and she has all of these things that she's put in place for you. There is still an aspect of, okay, well, what you gonna do once you get it, right? Because I didn't work this hard, so you could have, so it can be squandered. Not saying that you would, but those are the thought processes that happen. So I get it. I absolutely get it. 100%. All right. So, Brianna, my next question for you. I think I want to go into what you think you can teach your mom at your current state in life.
Nothing.
Oh.
Nothing. I keep her hip to like what's going on.
Ever since you moved out, I'm not nearly as hip as I used to be. You can come back for that.
I could teach her, yeah, maybe keeping her updated. Like she said, like, well, it's like she's so ideal in my opinion. So like just having those talks with her about, enjoying her life, not necessarily telling her how, but like, being that motivation for her to live a little, like we have fun together, we like to, that's my girl, we could turn up, we like having fun. So just being her friend, I feel like, like that's my best friend. So just supporting her, how she shows up for me, but in my own little way, letting her know that she has someone who cares for her, and that's willing to talk to her. But in terms of teaching her, she keeps me hip for real, the restaurants, to where to travel. I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question though, but yeah, I got nothing.
You teach me a lot. You do keep me a little. I mean, you used to keep me. You don't keep me as hip as you used to. But I will say, what you do teach me is. So Breezy is, I would say, like, she's my creative kid who's not like an artist, but she's a creative in terms of. Also, I mean, I guess she's a lot like me. She's a nonconformist per se, and so. I see these things that are like, she literally moves at her own pace. There is nothing, and I mean nothing, that anyone can say or do that will make her move faster. And I mean, literally and figuratively. We used to call her molasses when she was younger because she would take forever to just come down. get out. And it's kind of like that even in life. And so, and I don't, and that's not necessarily bad, right? And so in life, we are always rushing to get to something. You know, I remember being younger, and a lot of us used to be like this. I can't wait to grow up. I can't wait till I'm. B is like, I don't want to be an adult. She will tell you, like, I'm happy to be, you know, I don't want to be 30. I don't want to be 25. I don't want to be. And so she reminds me to just be like slow, like in life, you know, and that all these other things that people are kind of expecting of you, and when they're expecting it, it doesn't at the end of the day matter, you know, as long as you get to wherever it is that you're trying to get to. So I value that about her. Was it my race, my pace? We used that was when I was like, you gonna really take 6 years to get this 4-year degree? She's like, my race, my pace. I was like, okay, my race, my pace. So yeah, she definitely reminds me of those things.
It was 5, not 6.
Well, I mean, and a half.
No, it wasn't.
What year did you graduate? 2016?
Yeah.
Okay. When did you walk?
2021. When did I graduate?
Right. December of 2021. That was 5.5.
Okay, 5.5.
Okay.
5.5, not 6.
5 or more, raise the score. 4 or less, let it rest.
Okay.
That's what you said.
Okay.
Okay. Boy.
As you said, don't round me up. Listen, 5.5.
That's what I'm saying. Don't round me up. Like, Lord.
Right.
50.
But yeah, I would challenge you, Adriana, like you teach your mother more than you know. Like parenthood in and of itself is a mirror held up to you every single day. Every single day. And just in the interactions that you have, you may not think that there's some sort of, you know, you're not imparting all of this wisdom on your mother, but you are teaching her something on a daily basis. It is the best form of self-development that I think I've ever been through, aside from entrepreneurship. That parenthood and entrepreneurship, right, are the best forms of self-development. And, you know, being in the moment and being present is not something that as single moms we've had the pleasure of being able to take advantage of.
Right.
So the fact that you have taught her throughout your life, it seems, to slow down and be in the moment, right, is a blessing in and of itself. So that's amazing to hear, because it's not a luxury that we're afforded many times.
We are not. That's such another, Deanna, you always got the great point. I mean, that's a great point. And honestly, I looked up one day and was like, oh my God, my kid is grown. Right. And even though we've always been together, and even bless her little heart, I mean, I had to drag her to like community meetings. She would be at board, and whatever I was doing, this baby had to be. That's probably why she don't want to do this kind of work. She's like, I've been doing this forever. You know what I mean?
Probably is why.
I know. I don't want that headache. But I mean, it should be 8.
They used to be yelling. Really mad. Wow, it's coming back to me.
Yeah. But so she would be there, but how present was I, right? And again, you're just trying to make ends meet. You're trying to still move a career forward. You're trying to make sure the kid got their homework done, food, like it's a lot. And so you are visible and you're there, but it's different to be present, you know? And so I feel like now our relationship, which is crazy because we live 10 minutes away from each other, we don't necessarily see each other a lot. We text every day, but we might see each other just a couple times a month. But in those moments, I think that I'm a much more present parent than I was, because there's not that pressure, heaviness and the pressure, you know what I mean? And it's just like, okay, right? So we're, as you say, we turn it up, having a buying overpriced drinks and food and, you know, traveling. But yeah, so awesome. It's different.
Yeah, the pressure is released. You've done your job, you know what I mean? Motherhood never ends, but you've done the rearing and the raising. And, you know, when she was younger, the heaviness is, if you stopped and thought for too long, you'd fall apart, right?
Hello. Okay.
Yeah. you can't
can't.
stop and think and be present to present, because you literally would overthink it, and then everything would fall apart and you'd be on the floor crying,
At
right?
the
And like
moment.
nothing would get done.
That's right.
So now you're in a different stage of your life, a different stage of your relationship where you can enjoy that. And I love that for the two of you. That's really beautiful. It's really
Mhm.
beautiful. I hope to get there one day with my 13
You're
year
gonna
old.
get there, girl. It's gonna be tomorrow. You're gonna blink. And
Right.
Kristen is gonna be a grown man. You're gonna be like, what happened to my baby?
Mhm.
um all right. So let's move on to just a few more questions. Eris, I want to know what you most admire about your daughter.
I think, along those same lines, the things that I'm most admire about her are the same things that make me want to just all right, a shaker boy. I mean, it's her independence in the form of like free spirit, free flow.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah.
I love it, but I'll also like breezy at some point. Gotta bring into action, So, and not that she's not, she make her own money, but so she's definitely a free spirit, but not like a Lisa Bonet type, Denise Huxtable free spirit, but just mentally kind of unrestrained or confined. I think that's pretty dope about her. But I also really admire how receptive and open she has been throughout her entire life to us having a relationship that is special and close and tight and respectful. Like people always talk about moms and daughters bumping heads, and I love my mother. I know she will see this. I love my mother. We don't have the same kind of dynamic, however, that me and Breezy have. It is more, mother daughter, and it's close in that sense. But it's just always been like we talk, we hang out. Um, and a lot of young ladies aren't necessarily receptive to that. And some people always say, well, wait till she gets to this age. Oh, it's gonna be. And I was like, I actually didn't go through that. I was hell. So to my mother's defense,
Right.
I was not a good kid.
I was great.
You were
I was literally great. I was good. I was good.
really great, right? I also love that
I was
about her.
really
She is There's no
Humble, right?
small level of humbleness.
good. That was really good.
Own it. You gotta own it. I love
Yeah.
that.
You were. You were a good kid.
Cause
I lucked out. She
I
was a
really
good.
was.
You were a good
Like,
baby.
people
You
I
were,
know, like these girls be crazy going. It be crazy out here. But I
yeah.
also feel like that like played it because I could never like at home I had such an ideal mom. I didn't feel a need to necessarily do certain things or feel pressure to do so because like I've always moved at my own pace, done my own thing. So it's like certain things that certain girl like it just wasn't for me to even. It's just not interesting to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at you now. In them streets now.
Mm-hmm.
So, Adriana, how do you see contributing to your family legacy as you continue to
Could
grow?
you repeat the question one more time?
Sure, I'm sorry. How do you see yourself contributing to your family legacy as you continue to grow and evolve and move into even more of your own person? How would you like to contribute to your family's legacy?
Been giving it more thought as I've gotten older too. But as I've grown up, like so many girls, like my friends or girls online, have always like admired me and my mom's relationship, or giving me many compliments surrounding her. Because for others to be able to view her in a light that I do has always inspired me and made me feel really special and lucky to have a mom that can influence other Black girls to they might not have that role at home or in their family. So to be able to acknowledge it and then like be vocal about it. I've always admired that. So like to keep her name just going in the work that she does in the community and for girls and women, forever, just to continue to talk about the amazing things that she does and continue to show her off and uplift her and push her to be the best that she can and continue to do great things. But like one of the things that I admire about her, I like the question that you asked her about me, so I'll take face on that. So like I really admire her perseverance and being able to overcome situations or like hardships or even a task at work and being able to really execute and bring that vision to life. Because like she said, I have a lot of ideas, but due to like different social anxieties and things of that sort, I may just overthink things and, get trapped in my little race in my pace. So like with her, she's really like a go-getter. And I really admire that. And like having that visual, it lets me know that, oh, I can't do it. And then when it comes time for me to really do something I really want to do, it's like I get it done just like that because I have that example. So just continuing to show her off to people that need to see someone like that. And yeah, I think that's how, for now, to continue her legacy like that, just continue to share her story.
Wait, the other way I think that she continues the legacy, I often share with people, my mom at 33 at that time started college and was the first person in our family to go. And I mean, she's married with 2 kids, and working a full-time job and didn't have any examples to look to for what college was or how to even navigate that. And so when Breezy just graduated from Howard, it really hit me like, whoa, wow. What could be seen as something very nominal to others, we were standing there as 3 women, right, of the same bloodline who had now been college educated. And only my mom get her undergrad, she went and got her master's, and then me following her, I got my master's. No pressure for B to have to do that. But when I talk about it starts somewhere, right? It has to start with somebody, and it could be something as small as, and so I have friends who have great grandparents who went to college. I'm like, your great grandparent is college educated. Like, what? And you're the 6th generation. It's just like, it's crazy to me, right? And so that to me, and listen, I went to college. I was not thinking about going to college. I had a woman who came into my life, Yvonne Sims, my senior year of high school, who just changed my whole trajectory and outlook on life and myself. Breezy, I mean, if I'm being honest, I'm not sure if she ever really wanted to go to college, but I feel like there was also maybe a sense of responsibility and her feeling like there were some things that she wanted to live up to. I'm not saying she didn't want to be college educated and having a date, but like, oh, I just can't wait to go, So I feel that she continued that legacy out of also deference and respect. And I value that. My mom had her first kid, I think at 20 or 19 or something, 20, somewhere between 19 and 21. My grandmother had her first child somewhere between like 19 and 21. I have my great grandmother. So, she's 24.
Right.
She's college educated. She has no children. She lives on her own. Like, hey, I can't complain about that. So she started to also break cycles, which to me is an example of extending the legacy. And so that when she does decide to have children, she's at a place where at least, educationally, she's checked some boxes, professionally, she's checked some boxes, and from an emotional, mental standpoint, she'll be at a level where maybe it's not that same type of like just survival mode.
And that's very important for me because I'm not a baby, not gonna have me struggling and stressed out. I'm sorry, I'm not doing it. I'm just not gonna do it. So it's like, yeah, I have to check those boxes. And more so like with the legacy and having that example, and yeah, I did it out of respect, but it was just like the normal thing to do,
Normal,
like go to school.
Right.
It was just like not necessarily following suit, but like yeah, my grandma and my mom, like why wouldn't I? If the resources are there and this is, I don't live a life where this isn't really an option or this is so far reach. So it's just like, it's just to follow. So I feel like it was just the natural thing for me to do. And I feel like maybe that's why I wasn't overly excited about it, because I knew I had a lot of friends that, they wanted to go to school or they didn't want to go to school. Like there was no, for me, it was just like, yeah, I'm going to school, like,
Right. It just
go to
is.
school.
It
Like
just
that's
was.
what
It
people
was.
do, but not losing the importance of the opportunity. I just felt like
Totally what you're
I
saying.
had the,
It was the norm. And that's
Yeah,
how
it
you
was the
start
norm.
to shift, right? Like there are just certain things that just become the norm,
Right.
where others are like,
An anomaly. Right. Exactly.
like sushi at 8 years old.
oh, right, your sushi party. My mom was like, who at 8 years old wants to be at a sushi restaurant for their birthday? This one, because it was the norm, right?
Yes.
Right.
That's what it was.
Yeah. That's great. And that actually answered my next question, which was how have generations before you affected your framework of success and achievement? Right. And so it just was what it was,
Right.
It was the norm. It was not necessarily what was expected, but it's what you've seen. Right. And
I feel like that's like with, anything like different social class and like different groups, like, what they see is what they more so will become, or either want to change, or just, because it's there, that's what they know, and resources may be limited or resources may be in abundance. So you just, just follow suit naturally like that. Sometimes how the cards shuffle, I feel like, which can be an advantage or disadvantage depending on.
I completely agree with that. What people see shapes their mindset for what they can achieve and do, right? And so even going back to the properties and the whole life insurance policies and the investment accounts and all of that, hopefully for you, Abriana, like this is just it's something that has been set up for you, and it's something that you are going to set up for your children, right? And so it's starting with you, Eris, right? It has to start somewhere, and hopefully a generation or two removed, it's just the norm. It's just what your legacy has turned into, where it's something where now each generation gets to give the next one a leg up financially in order to succeed or what have you, just like college has started to become the norm for your family, right? So that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing with legacy building.
Legacy building.
All right, so let's have some fun. This last question, I want to know what the theme song of your life is for the both of you.
What, like our special song?
Like individually, Eris, you might have a theme song for your life. Abriana, you might have a theme song where you're like, yep, this is me. This is my theme song. I love it. Like, this embodies me. Do you have one? And if so, what is it?
You go first, mother. I love music, so I would really have to think. And we're saying theme song. I was about this girl. We have a special song, "My Sunshine." I thought
that's what I was thinking. So I was like, "You are my sunshine." That is our song.
Okay.
But theme song. You go first.
Oh my goodness, there's so many. Okay, I'm just gonna say there's a few.
Okay.
And watch me come back and be like, "Oh, I should have said this one."
Yeah, I know that's. But that's still happening.
If there's one song that I think is the theme song, and it gets me hyped, and I think it just embodies it all, is Wale's BGM.
Okay.
Which is Black Girl Magic. And it's not even about it just being like the whole cliche Black Girl Magic thing, but I'm like, at the end of the day, that literally is my life. Like, it is Black Girl Magic. And when I listen to the beat, when I listen to the words, I'm always hyped up. It is. We got to intro and outro that on this here.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I still can't come to one song, but right now I'm feeling like Beyonce Diva. I'm a diva. I'm a diva. I'm my lady. Yeah, I like that song.
Okay. You a diva?
Very, yeah.
Empowering.
Yes.
There's so many.
I know. Yes. Well, my ladies up in here that like to talk back. I like to see you. Yeah.
Go get that bag. Go get that bag.
That's
big mood. Is that Wizkid? I'm in a big mood.
Okay, that's a good one. Mhm.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love that. I think mine would probably be Beyonce's verse in Savage, the remix.
Oh, I like
It's a
Her
good
verse
one.
in that.
Okay, it's a good one.
Please.
I hope I answered the other questions better than this last one.
This
I
one was
mean,
supposed to be fun, and you're a music lover, so it's hard to really.
it is hard,
For sure.
You pulled out your phone?
girl.
I know, right?
Yeah, I definitely pulled out my phone.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Drake makes me cry. Oh, Nicki Minaj moment in life.
Yes, that's a great one.
You said favorite song. I just keep thinking my favorite song. You know, I was going to say Donny Hathaway song for you.
Oh God, please.
Oh,
We're not
God.
trying to cry.
I love that song.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first time she heard that song, she started crying. How old were you?
I've been so
10?
many places. That's my song. I
Yeah,
don't know how I was young, but yeah, that's a good one.
that's a very good one.
Mhm.
Yeah, Black Girl Magic. Y'all, do y'all even know that song?
I know that song. I think I know that song.
I'm gonna have to look it up.
She don't know that song.
Black Girl, I didn't know that song. You were really gonna get your little outro with the noise.
Hey,
Send her the link.
go.
Hey, I'll look at us.
Right. You can't hear it. Send her the link.
I can't hear it. Oh, well, I can hear it. I'm all right.
Oh, ladies, this has been so much fun. So
love it.
much
Yes, it
fun.
has.
Thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for letting me in and being a little fly on the wall of your relationship. These conversations are ones that I know can be continued and expounded upon and all of that stuff. Y'all might want to consider doing a mother-daughter podcast. I'm just putting
I have been telling her.
I'm just putting it out.
I mean, you haven't. She does podcast already, you know. She's tapped into that lane, but we should have a little something.
Yeah, your own one would be, I think, stellar.
Put that degree to work.
I
Journalism,
know.
production.
I know. I do it all. I'm good. I need to do that.
I do it all and I'm good at my pace.
Right. Love it, love it, love it. Any parting words that you would like to say to each other?
I love you.
I love you too. Boy,
Admire you.
I admire you too.
And that's it.
Okay, I love it.
Thank you, DeAndre. This was
Yes,
awesome.
thank you so much.
Absolutely.